Now here we are getting a question that whether the sharp bounce would sustain, would our valuations higher than long period averages, will they sustain, and which spaces may do better. So let me share my thoughts there. Global markets, yes, they have rebounded sharply towards their pre-COVID high levels. Technology, both pharmaceuticals and IT have been big gainers from the COVID situation. And tech-heavy exchanges, for example, Nasdaq in the US and Shanghai in China, are at all-time highs. Many other indices are only a few points away from their peaks. In general, higher has been the government support, higher has been the technology presence in the bourses, and better has been the control over the COVID situation, the better has been the performance of the stock market indices. It's obvious that the move has had a lot of support from monetary and fiscal policy. We have seen something similar post the GFC. Then the high liquidity infusion caused markets to trade at a higher valuation. In the US, market cap to GDP ratio has seen a very high inverse correlation to interest rates and a very high correlation to increase in Fed balance sheet. This needs to be noted. Most of the central banks have seen a very sharp increase in their balance sheet sizes as a response to the COVID issue. Even RBI, the Indian central bank, has seen a very sharp increase. Higher liquidity infusion does bring down interest rates. With a reduction in yields, the investors have to take a higher risk to generate the same returns, and the flow of monies to riskier asset classes increase over time. With the inflow of money into the system, we have seen risk measures come down and normalize. This was something which was tried after the GFC. Large liquidity infusions then brought down the risk premiums to more normal levels, and we are seeing that again this time around. Given the strong increase in balance sheet size of most central banks, we do expect low interest rate scenarios to persist, and by corollary, higher valuations to sustain. My base case is that markets could trade at significantly higher than average valuations till liquidity conditions are benign. This would be reflected in improved market cap to GDP ratios, or higher P ratios or higher price to book ratios versus long period average. Given the fact that in the present interest rates are lower than historical averages and liquidity is higher than historical averages. Now, once the liquidity increase stops, the central bank and central bank balance sheet starts to shrink. Interest rates start to increase over time. We should expect valuations to start to correct, and at that point in time, we would see market performance lagging EPS growth. And in that process, valuations would get corrected towards the mean. Hence, for the present, while our market cap to GDP is now back to close to average levels and P is higher than long period average, since bond yields are lower, bond yields to earning yield indicator is still evenly praised, we do believe valuations would sustain. The higher risk premium that was there at the beginning of the COVID has corrected itself on strong liquidity infusion. That's a point that we have made before. At the same time, we need to understand that the makeup of the market is now much more normal. Market expects a continued economic recovery. In the near term, since the valuation comfort is low, any adverse situation may make the markets more volatile, and we should expect to see that in Q1 result season when several companies will report low numbers or negative numbers. The support of valuations to cushion another economic adversity is not there anymore, and that is something that needs to be recognized. An index EPS of FY22 is expected to be significantly higher than FY20 and obviously higher than FY21. We do expect the market to discount the same over the period of next 1 year, and expect the market to come back, achieve its earlier highs over this period. This would still mean early teen returns from present levels in the market. So we still believe, over next 1 year, market still has a decent amount of return to offer to investors coming into the market at these levels. There has been some focus on retail investors coming into the market, and there has been a lot of chatter on the current rally being fueled by small retail investor monies. The percentage of non-institutional volumes has shot up substantially versus earlier. We see it as a positive. Investors have taken benefit of lower valuations and had confidence in the India story and came in strongly. This is a change from earlier times when a fall in the market would make the investors look away and volumes would drop. This time around, it has been very, very different. Now, promoters who are seen to be more informed investors have also taken the opportunity to increase their holdings. We have seen some proposals of buybacks from the companies as well. Now, this really makes us believe that this time around, the fact that retail has come in is a positive. It's not a negative. There is a strong return that this investor class has seen, and I do believe we as a market would have seen higher investor participation going forward. Coming down to which part of the market could do relatively better, and from there we can derive as to how our portfolios are positioned. In the past, and this happened after the GFC, so I've been drawing parallels to GFC in this update. In that period of higher liquidity in combination with lower interest rates actually helped higher quality, asset-light, consumption-oriented businesses versus levered, capex-oriented businesses in terms of stock market performance. Now, this is very counterintuitive, but was seen very, very starkly over the 2009 to 2020 period. The charts do show several of these businesses having done very well on the consumption side, and on the capex side, the big businesses have delivered very, very meager returns, if anything at all. Maybe on account of large free capacity which was there, maybe on account of changes in the capex focus of companies. So earlier, if for example coal-based power projects were the norm, now solar and renewable energy is the focus, so that may have also contributed. But the small point is, free cash flow businesses with cash on books did very well versus the levered businesses, commodity businesses, which did not do very well. If you look at the present, excess capacities exist in most companies, most industries even today. The polarization of the market is a global phenomena. In India, over and above this, we had an overlay of corporate governance issues. We do expect, hence, the same trends to continue in this period of higher liquidity, lower interest rate scenario also. We expect stronger NBFCs to benefit from good liquidity and low interest rates, as they would see, or they are expected to see, margin increases. We do expect that higher quality businesses in pharmaceuticals, IT, and telecoms would be included in the list of companies to benefit from this trend. I mean, these are spaces which did not do very well over the last 10 odd years, but we do believe in this rally. These are spaces which would get included, given also the fact that the other spaces have seen a sharp run up in valuations. At this juncture, let us see how the institutional flows have been. In the month of June, Indian mutual funds did not see substantial net flows. This was because a few large institutional investors pulled out large sums of money. SIP flows also fell because investors stopped their SIPs given lower CAGR of returns and financial stress. However, given the fact that markets continued their uptick in July, we do expect SIPs to sustain and improve going forward. If retail is coming into the markets on its own, it may as well, take the mutual fund route. So we do believe these numbers will improve going forward. July should also see better numbers because the institutional outflows are expected to have subsided. FPIs have continued to be significant buyers in the month of June. They should expect to. We expect them to continue to be buyers, given the fact that global liquidity is benign and continues to be supportive. Lastly, with this in context, how are our portfolios positioned? We continue to focus on growth areas of the economy. We believe that telecom, pharmaceuticals, good retail-focused banks and NBFCs should deliver growth. We have increased our exposure to these spaces. Agriculture has had a good support of good rains, and sowing has been better than last year. This is an encore. Last year was also good for rural India. We believe businesses focused on this space, seed companies, insecticide, pesticide companies, businesses like two-wheelers, tractors, which focus on this space should continue to deliver strong growth. Moreover, while we believe consumers in general and staples in particular would continue to deliver stronger results, given the better confidence in economic uptake, we have actually rebalanced our portfolios, and our investors would have seen that, to favor financials, telecom, and a few other spaces. Overall, we continue to follow the investing checkboxes that we have been sharing with yourselves. So we like cash on book businesses versus levered businesses. We like investing in branded products versus commodity products, and favor staples versus discretionary in that segment. We like investing in domestic focused businesses versus export, but yes, there are exceptions to it, IT and pharmaceuticals and chemicals, for example. In financials, we believe life and general insurance businesses are significantly better placed. There is a need for those products. They are under-penetrated, and once the COVID situation normalizes, one should expect to see strong growth there. And in lending businesses, we like retail-focused lenders over corporate and wholesale. That's been our stance, and we have continued to be focused there. Thank you, guys. Happy investing.